Hello and welcome back to You Don't Look It. I am Danny. This is Lexie.
And I am Lexie. Woo.
I just gestured to you and said, "This is Lexie," like they could see you.
Right.
Don't mind me. Logic isn't real. I don't know what's
YOLO.
happening anymore.
I feel that.
So, how's your week been?
Not too bad. Just had class. Very confused through the entire thing. We were doing statistics stuff, so it was also just exhausting because it's a 3-hour class. So I was constantly just on a different planet.
Oh, we love that.
At one point, I was just lying there with my eyes closed, and I'm like, if I fall asleep, I fall asleep.
There we
But
go.
I
I mean, I've been there before. I don't blame you. Gotta put my phone on silent because I just heard it go off.
I know, I just remembered to put mine on. I always forget. But yeah, so we had class. We got our stuff into stores, as I mentioned, for the business. I can check live how things are doing and if
That's
things are selling.
really exciting. How is that going?
It's going pretty well. We've made a couple sales at one of the locations. We haven't made any at the other one yet, but I mean, it has been less than a week, maybe a week today. Yeah, a week today. So I'm not too worried. But this will kind of be, the make or break sort of thing.
No, it's not the make or break sort of thing. Trust me, you've made it. Her stuff is good. I highly recommend it. It's Celtic Canine. Get yourself some Celtic dog shit.
Thanks, girl. I appreciate. But yeah, that's been pretty good, and just kind of going along life. What have you been up to? How have you been?
I finished the 10-page like halfway point for my senior seminar, like my thesis paper.
Woo!
And I feel like I did better than I did on the last check-in, which is good.
Oh, nice. That is awesome.
I did get a 70 on my CBT paper though, so that's great.
YOLO.
Mostly because I didn't have enough sources because we have like a source limit. Like I liked where my paper was at, and then I had to find like 2 more sources and just squeeze them in somewhere.
That's obnoxious. I hate it when you need specific sources, especially when it's a topic that isn't really studied, so you don't have that many sources.
Yeah, and even so, I'm doing like skills training, which is a part of dialectical behavior therapy, but can be used like pretty much in any kind of therapy.
Yeah.
And I was doing it. I was looking at individual skills training versus group skills training, and it's originally designed to be done in a group. And I was looking at like, what are the treatment outcomes? Like, does it have the same effect as group, or is group better, or is individual better? And there's just no research on it.
That's weird. You would think there would be. Oh, excuse me. Sorry.
Oh, you kind of cut out, so I missed all of that anyway.
Oh, sorry. Well, I was yawning the entire time, so I was saying that's weird. Like, you would think that would be a topic that there would be more research on.
Right? And I found one really good paper, but I mean, at the same time, a lot of people employ individual skills training. So why is there not more research on it? I find that really weird.
Right. That is very odd.
The general consensus from the research paper that I found is that it's just as effective as group. And then I actually went and bought the DBT skills training manual.
Ooh.
In which the woman who developed the therapy, Marsha Linehan, was like, group is better. Group is always better. Individual has these risks, which are, fair. Like, I think they're valid concerns. But at the same time, I'm like, you did design this therapy. So I would expect you to be an advocate for people doing it the way it was meant to be done.
Yeah, like her word means a little more than a random person's.
Yeah. And at the same time, it's like, she's obviously always going to advocate for the therapy she designed and not a modification of the therapy she designed.
True. That is true.
Because that's where I would be. I'd be like, no. We do this my way or the highway. I designed it this way for a reason.
Exactly. Oh, that's funny.
So I'm struggling with school shit. But other than that, things have been good. I've started seeing clients again, which is exciting.
Ooh, that is exciting.
Dog training clients. I'm not a therapist yet. Just to clarify. Which is good. And the dog seems to be doing fine. The one that I saw yesterday, which is good.
Nice.
I always worry about them relapsing when the owners don't have check-in sessions or ask questions. Because they
Seriously.
never ask me questions. They never text me like, hey, what do you do when this happens? Because I'm like,
Right.
use me. Utilize any knowledge that I have. I will find you an answer even if I have to do some research.
Right. It's like, I'm here for you.
I'm here for you. And I want to be involved because I would like to actually start my business instead of just continuing to practice.
Right. True.
So.
Oh. Well, I'm glad it's been good. Yeah, I feel like we don't have much to recap. It's been kind of average, I feel like, for both of us.
I mean, it's really just been the weekend because we filmed on Friday, or recorded on Friday,
true.
and then sent it out on Friday. So
that's a good point.
Hopefully nothing life-changing and dramatic has happened
True.
in like 4 days' time.
Yeah, no, not that I'm aware of. But yeah, what do you have for me today?
So I have the dream that started it all. So this is the dream I call the Uncle Chester dream. We'll get into why I don't have an uncle named Chester. We're going to preface it with that. Just to make it even more creepy. I'm going to put a huge trigger warning on this for gore, for dismemberment, for clowns. If you're afraid of clowns, if you're afraid of anything like, what was that TV show about a serial killer that worked with the police?
Mindhunter?
No, it was like Chuck or something.
What?
I can't remember. There was this kid who was like a serial killer and his dad was like a cop. And
Dexter?
Dexter! Why did I think it was Chuck? Jesus.
When you were saying serial killer worked with the police, I was taking it as he was helping the police, like he was already in custody, opposed to he worked with the police department, like actually within it.
Like, and then was like covering up his own murders through the police department. God, why did I think his name was Chuck?
Hey guys, it's Chuck.
Hey guys, it's Chuck. Chuck and Duck. Chad. My boys. My boys. Anyway, so it's got those kind of vibes. So if that freaks you out, if Dexter vibes freak you out, don't listen to this one. Go to Lexie's story.
I am so ready.
So ready. Okay, so I was probably 5 or 6 when I had this dream. It was in 2003, I think.
Wow, long time ago.
Yeah, I am 23 now, so this was 20 years ago. Not 20 years ago. It was like 17, 18 years ago. So I'm going to preface this by saying I never watched horror movies. I'm a huge pussy. My parents never allowed me to watch horror movies or like crime documentaries or anything like that. So this did not come from, something I saw.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I didn't have PTSD at this point. I don't know for sure.
Right.
But, who knows? I could also just have a nightmare disorder. Because
that's also possible, yeah. That's true.
Because I think it predates trauma, that it might just be that I have a nightmare disorder. Anyway, so the dream starts out, and I am like 25 in the dream, and I was watching TV in like my rundown living room, and it was on one of those old small tube TVs.
Yeah.
And the news anchor was like, last time we saw Uncle Chester, we don't know how they kept him alive. And I'm like, and then my phone...
Excuse me?
Excuse me? And then my little flip phone rings, and I answer it, and I've been called to a crime scene, and I'm like, okay. So I get dressed.
Why are you...
I'm a cop, I guess, in this dream.
Okay.
I guess, because that's...
Just call a rando.
I was either the cop or I was the person... No, I would have had to be the cop, because you don't call in the person that cleans up the dead bodies before you apprehend the suspect.
Well, no. Well, I mean, once you're done investigating is when they come. So they don't...
But we walk in on an active crime, so it wouldn't have made sense.
Love it.
So...
Christ.
Yeah, it was great. And sorry, I have notes so that I would tell this in order because I've told it out of order before and it gets confusing. So we get in the car. I'm in the car with my partner. He's driving. we drive up to this old dilapidated house that's like covered in ivy and shit. And
Naturally.
there's like a rundown like red door that's like rusting off the hinges. And so we bust in the door and
Did you Hulk out?
yeah,
Just
I hulked out and I
slam it down.
kicked the door and I'm like, there we go. I actually don't know how the door got open, but I'm assuming we opened it somehow. When I entered the room, I saw like plastic hanging all over the walls. Like
oh God.
sheet plastic like in Dexter.
Yeah.
Which is like, I find that so strange because like I wasn't allowed to watch horror movies. I wouldn't have known that this was a thing. I think this predates Dexter as a show.
That's honestly terrifying. Like, why is your subconscious conjuring those ideas?
That's what I want to know.
Danny, are you a serial killer?
I hope not. I'm not yet, but
Yet. Ooh.
Yet.
Surprise, Danny's been killing in her dreams.
I know.
It turns
I've been
out
astral
in her
projecting
sleep.
to another plane and killing from
Oh my God.
from the astral plane.
Oh.
Just kidding. So we enter the room and I immediately see this large like wooden apple bucket. You know the big ones on apple farms that are like, you know, they can hold
I'm pretty
like,
sure I know what you're.
Yeah, they can hold like they look like barrels kind of.
You could shove a body in there if you wanted.
I mean, they can probably hold like 10 gallons of water or more. And it was filled with blood, as per usual.
That's a lot of blood.
Yeah. And
I feel like that's multiple bodies worth. How many gallons
I
of
want to
blood
know. That's what I want
does the human body hold?
Oh, it's not a lot. I think we only
Let
have.
me Google it.
It's something like we have like 12 pints or quarts of blood. Maybe that's too much. My sister told me at one point because she's going into orthopedics.
An adult will have approximately 1.2 to 1.5 gallons or 10 units of blood in their body.
Okay, so that's actually not a lot of liquid.
So that was like 10 bodies worth of blood at least.
So, yay. And I see Uncle Chester sitting in this bucket.
Wait, Uncle Chester's sitting in the bucket?
Yeah, he's in the bucket.
What? Like just having a
just
good
sitting
time?
There. He's still alive at this point. And his face is painted like a clown, like completely white and like...
This is some John Wayne Gacy bullshit.
I know, black and white. And he's got all of his organs shoved into a bag and sewn to his neck.
What the fuck, Danny?
So, I mean, like, you could see the organs. I remember this incredibly vividly. I remember this like it happened yesterday.
God, I'm watching this in my mind like a goddamn movie.
Oh, it gets worse. And, like, you could see all of his organs in the bag. You could see him, like, breathing. And
what kind of bag was this? Not that it's relevant. I'm picturing, like, a plastic shopping bag.
No. It was, like, a cellophane bag. Like, almost silicone looking.
Okay.
So this would have been, like, you know, a bag that you put blood in for transfusions or IV.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It didn't look like that, but it was, like, the same kind of material.
And his organs were just chilling in there?
Just chilling in there, and they had sewn it back to his neck. And they had cut off his arms and legs, which were on meat hooks above him.
Wait, so is Uncle Chester the bad guy?
No, he's the victim.
Oh, I was scared of Uncle Chester. Poor Uncle Chester.
Right. Well, it's funny because when I'm going to go into this, but I started hallucinating after this for a few months. And I didn't see the person that did that to Uncle Chester. I just saw Uncle Chester.
Oh my, that would be terrifying.
It was horrifying. I think, honestly, this dream might have actually caused a little bit of PTSD.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Anyway, so the hands and feet were cut off of the limbs that were hanging from meat hooks and sewn back onto the bag, and they were like completely blue and like black and necrotic and rotting.
Excuse me. You should just write this as a horror movie.
Oh, I had put this on Reddit at one point under like r/dreams, and it was a few years ago, but I feel like I could make it.
Did people like it?
It didn't get the response I thought it would. It only got 25 likes.
Lame,
I know. But also, I put that on Reddit like several years ago, which this is what I'm using for the notes because like I had it all neatly laid out. And It was a few years ago and I wasn't the best writer at the time.
You should rewrite it, like
Rewrite
edit it,
it.
and then put it up.
Like make it a short story or like a zine or something.
Yes.
Oh God, I think I'd have a panic attack if I had to draw this and make it a zine.
That's fair. That's fair.
That'd freak me out.
Ugh.
So anyway, they were like, you know, when you see like a dead squirrel on the side of the road, and it's got like rigor mortis and it's all like splayed out doing weird shit. That's what the hands and feet were doing.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So that freaked me the fuck out. And
understandably.
Like, the creepiest part about it was Uncle Chester was still moving. He was talking at one point, but I was like in shock and like couldn't figure out what he was trying to tell me. And then I heard this like cackling noise from the corner, and there was a guy sitting in like a breakfast nook.
A breakfast nook.
A breakfast nook. And there was like, you know, still the cellophane like plastic sheets all over the place, and he was wearing a lab coat and glasses, and I forget what he said, but he said something like along the lines of like, "Hey, sweetheart," or something like that.
I don't like that.
Yeah. And
I don't like that even in any situation where there's not blood.
Yeah. And he like had surgical instruments on the table in front of him, and he had like saws and shit. And I remember it looking so incredibly 90s. And he was like in his 50s, and I don't know his name, but it freaked me the fuck out. Ugh. And then I woke up, and after that dream, I could not be left alone for like an entire year.
That's understandable. That's fucking traumatizing.
I know. And when I woke up and I told my mother about it, she was like, that kind of stuff happens in real life.
That is the last thing you say. Oh my God.
Right? That's not what you say to a child that has just... if I were a parent, I'd be like, I'm very, very afraid right now, and I'm taking you to a psychologist.
Right. I'd be like, eh.
Like, that's not a thing that's not like a dream that kids just have.
Right.
Like, something happened to you.
Especially unprompted, right.
Yeah, the most disturbing part of this to me is that it's, to my knowledge, it's unprompted.
Right.
Unless I saw something along those lines of like a dead person and just blacked it out.
God.
Which, like, horrifying to think that like I just saw a dead body. But like, I don't know. I would like to know why I had that dream. If anybody out there is like a specialist on like dreams or like nightmare disorders, hit me up, because I have some fucking questions.
Give us the deets.
And ever since then, I've had like crazy ass nightmares. Like that one like distinctly started it. Ever since, I've never had a dream. I've only ever had nightmares.
Fuck that. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And the weird thing is too, is that like most of my nightmares don't have anything to do with my trauma, or it's like they have symbolic elements in there, but the main dream has nothing to do with anything that's actually happened to me. And they're all like super surrealistic and like, but still grounded in reality in some ways.
Right.
And it's really fucking weird.
That's wild. I had a dream the other night. It wasn't a nightmare per se. No, it wasn't a nightmare, but it wasn't pleasant.
Yeah.
And I was on this island. I think it's because I was playing a lot of Animal Crossing, but I was on this on this island, and Riley was there, and I shot down a balloon to get the present, and it was a lot of money, but it wasn't bells. It was like cash.
Yeah.
And then Riley threw it in the water and then pushed me in. And I was like, what the fuck, bitch?
Riley, why would you?
I know. And I was like, excuse me, that was a lot of money and I'm a broke-ass bitch.
This could have paid for my university fees.
Right? It was like maybe $50, though. It really wasn't
$50 towards a graduate degree, though.
That's true. That is true.
Treat yourself to a graduate degree.
I remember that happened, and then she like went to her mom and was like, Lexie's being a bitch. I'm like, you're the one who shouldn't be in the water. And I'm like, Steven, Riley's mom's gonna fight me. It was actually the weirdest thing. I don't know what prompted any of that other than the Animal Crossing.
I can see the Animal Crossing elements of it. But
right.
Yeah, no, after that dream, like I couldn't be left alone for almost a full year. Like when I took a shower, like, we had, like, shower curtains, not, like, glass doors. I'd have somebody, like, sit in the bathroom with me while I took a shower because I couldn't be left alone. To this day, I can't sleep with the lights off. Like, I have, like, these fairy lights on my bed.
We have a rock lamp, and we always play The Office on the projector.
Yeah. Ooh, a projector would be so nice to have in your room.
It is nice.
We
have a screen that you push the button and it goes and it comes down.
Oh, that's so fancy.
I know. Sometimes it goes down on its own, and I say it's a ghost, but Steven said that some of the reviews said it did that. And so when I said that, my friend Virginia was like, so ghosts are an added feature.
Yes, I love that. I agree with that.
Yeah.
And, like, honestly, this is part of the reason that I thought the ghosts I was seeing were also hallucinations. Because
that's fair.
I was hallucinating seeing Uncle Chester just rolling around and, like, waddling behind me.
Can you not? No.
It was, and you could hear, like, the sloshing, and it used to freak me out. And I would, like, if I went to the bathroom at school and, like, I had to walk down the hall on my own, I would see him and I would just run.
I would straight up, I don't even know. That's terrifying.
Yeah, and ever since, I've had a really horrible anxiety.
That's fair. I would too after that bullshit. God. Oh my God. Screw Uncle Chester. Well, not screw Uncle Chester. Poor Uncle Chester.
I know. Now that I'm older, I'm like, well, that's really tragic. But as a kid, you know, my mind didn't resonate on the person who did that to somebody. It resonated on the victim and how terrifying that was. And so in my child mind, Uncle Chester was, like, the bad one, despite the fact that the dude that actually did it was sitting there.
Right? I don't like that.
So, yay. Still super vivid. I don't think I'm ever going to forget it. Thankfully, I have not had that dream more than once, or I don't think I'd be okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. God, that's terrifying.
Yeah, and I was, like, 5 or 6. Like, why did nobody ever take me to a psychologist? That's what blows my mind, is that my parents, like, my dad has a psychology degree, but they don't believe in psychology or, like, therapy as treatment, as effective treatment. What? They all think psychologists are quacks, and I'm like, dude.
Well, that's where you're wrong.
No, that's where you're wrong, and that's why if I have a nightmare disorder, it's lasted this long.
Right? Oh my God. That's terrible. Yeah, no, if I told my mom that, she'd be like, okay, let's
time to get you
somewhere.
on some medicine.
She'd be like, this is concerning. She'd be like, is this because I watch all those crime documentaries? Like, if that happened when I was little.
Yeah.
I'd be like, maybe,
I don't know. I know my parents don't watch crime documentaries too. Like, the worst crime documentary we saw was, like, things pertaining to World War II. And even then, we didn't really watch a lot of things on World War II because my Oma has, like, a vendetta against how the Germans are depicted. Like, not Hitler. Hitler was awful. But, like, the German people. Because she lived through that war, and she was like, no, we were drafted. If you tried to dodge the draft, they would kill your family.
Jesus.
So she was kind of like, they paint all German people as horrific, terrible human beings, when in reality, the German people were also victims of the government regimes.
That's so sad.
Yeah. So she didn't like it.
My mom watched a lot of true crime. Her favorite, she still does. I swear, Investigation Discovery, that channel is her fave. Oof. She watches that or, like, ghost things.
Yeah.
Those are her main television shows.
She likes some spooky scaries.
She does. I do quite enjoy some true crime documentaries. I just watched one the other night on Netflix with Steven. Made him watch with me.
I still can't really watch true crime documentaries. Like, I can listen to it on podcasts.
Yeah.
But when they start showing photos of it and, like, how it actually happened, I'm like, okay, no.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to look at that.
I'm going to pass, okay?
I can imagine it just fine. Don't worry about me. I don't need to see it.
Right.
Like, it's fine.
Great imagination. No need to show me
Clearly, I have a wonderfully active imagination. So I don't really need to look at it.
Oh my gosh. Well, that was wild.
Yeah. So if you guys like the dreams, let me know. I have plenty more. If they scare the shit out of you, I understand that, and I will stop telling them.
I like it.
I
I'm
don't mind
terrified,
it.
but I like it.
If I tell it enough times, I stop getting scared of it.
That's fair.
Which is good.
Watch me friggin' have this dream or something.
I hope not. I'm so sorry.
I had a dream/nightmare about Circle of Hope, like the night after you told that
I'm
story.
so sorry.
I don't remember it, so it clearly wasn't traumatizing or anything. But I remember being like, well, that wasn't great.
That wasn't the best.
Oh my gosh, yeah. But I'll have random ass dreams. Jesus, I'm sorry, I keep yawning.
No, you're good. I keep putting myself on mute so I can drink lemonade.
That 3-hour class really did me in.
Dude, I zone out. If a class is longer than an hour and a half, I'm gone.
Fair. If class is longer than 10 minutes, I'm gone. Just kidding.
Mood.
Oh gosh. Well, I very much enjoyed that. I mean, it was scary, but I enjoyed it.
Yay. I'm glad. What do you got? What you got?
Okay. So today, this is a historical one, but also a kind of a legend sort of thing as well. So this is the tale. Oh, first I'll say my sources. History.com, National Geographic, and the Smithsonian Magazine, and then also just general knowledge I had on the subject beforehand. So this is about La Bête de Gévaudan. And so it is also known as the Beast of Gévaudan. And
ooh, that sounds exciting. That sounds like Beauty and the Beast kind of thing going on.
It is a bit werewolfy.
I like that.
So it was often just called La Bête or the Beast, and so this was in France, hence the French. And please forgive me if I mispronounce any names, because I took Spanish for 5 years. I took no French. I can count to 10 maybe in French.
I failed a semester of French in high school.
Yeehaw. So this was a good one. I really enjoyed this. I was up like into the middle of the night doing research the other night. So I'll probably refer to it as La Bête or the Beast because it's easier that way. So this is one of the first stories of werewolves. And this is, despite what you may think, this is not an urban legend. It's very much a real story, and it's confirmed by historical documents, and its legitimacy is not disputed by scientists or historians.
Wait, so is this one of these like forest children, like children that get dumped in the woods and then like start acting like animals?
No, so you'll see what this is, but it's very much real. It's just as these things happen in these times, stories get skewed a little.
Yeah.
So Gévaudan was a rural and historical region in southern France. It's now known as Lozère. So let me set the scene for you. So it's 1764, 1 year after the end of the 7 Years' War, which this war involved all of the great powers of Europe, and in America we know it mostly as the French and Indian War. So France had endured many defeats during the war, and the country was left with I saw Ivar and I got distracted.
He's sleeping on my bed back there. He knows that I put a towel down so he doesn't shed on my sheets so bad. And
that's a good idea. Look at him. Oh my god.
Yeah.
His little face.
He's taking a nap. He knows it's his spot. He sees me like putting the towel down on the bed and he jumps right up there. He's like, that's my spot.
Like, hell yeah.
I got that. That's the signal that I'm allowed on the bed.
That's funny. Oh my gosh. Okay, so France had endured many defeats during the war, and the country was left with a shitty economy, to say the least, and the country overall just wasn't doing too hot. So Gévaudan, as I mentioned, was a rural area, and it had a bunch of forests and some mountains, and it consisted mostly of farmland and just nature. And so people have described it as being the perfect location for a fairy tale by the Grimm brothers. So
that sounds like a fun place to
one more time. Yeah,
that sounds like a fun place to like vacation. I don't know,
right?
Like,
no, I want to visit this shit.
Yeah.
Sounds snazzy, especially, yeah. No, I have this thing where I want to visit all the locations of like big legends. So like I've gone to Loch Ness, I've been
Yes.
to Lake Champlain. I want to go to modern day Givaudan, which is now like Lozère and Auvers or something is another one.
Yeah.
But I want to go. So all right, now let me really set the scene. I messed up my notes a little, but that was important information, nevertheless, none of the less, my B. So it is June 30th, 1764. A young 14-year-old girl by the name of Jeanne Boulet is in the field tending to her flock of sheep. A giant beast emerges from the meadow and slaughters her. Um, this was the first recorded fatal attack of the beast. There's not a lot of detail known, hence that short ass
Just
little
slaughtered.
intro.
That was it.
Yeah.
You know, no real information. She just died. That's the important thing.
Right. Not a lot of details known because this was a very normal risk for those tending livestock.
Oh, okay. To
It
just
was
get killed by animals.
yeah, because women and children were often the ones tending to the livestock, and they knew that it was a risk that they would have to accept. That there were a lot of wolves in the area. Givaudan had a huge wolf infestation of both rabid and non-rabid wolves.
They have rabies in France?
They did, at least.
Okay, because like I know some countries like animals are not required to get rabies vaccinations because rabies isn't naturally occurring in that environment. But if you bring your animals over, you have to have rabies vaccinations.
Well, as far as I know, that the wolf species is now extinct.
Okay, so they don't have
France.
rabies in wolves anymore.
Right.
Especially not that wolf.
Right. So they had a huge wolf population. It wasn't uncommon. There were also like lynx and stuff like that. So people knew that, okay, I might encounter a predator and I might get injured or killed. So this wasn't news. It was just seen as, okay, it's sad, but another person just got killed tending their livestock. No big deal. So that's why I didn't get much press in the beginning, and until there were more attacks. And so let me go over what the beast looks like. So there are a variety of reports, but all of them, what I'm going to say is what most of the reports tended to say. So the beast was reported as having short gray, reddish / kind of tan fur with a dark stripe down its back. The fur was longer near the head, and there were reported spots on the side of the animal. There was a long, slender tail with a tassel at the end, and it was supposedly
It's like a
also
gerbil.
and also had like a flat face, and it was said to be wolf-like.
Like a flat face is in like, it doesn't have like that stop, or like a pug.
No, like a kind of like a long, slender nose.
Okay, so like a collie, kind of. Like there wasn't a like the stop is like where the dog's eyes meet the snout.
Right.
So it didn't really have like a stop. It just went.
It was more like a slant, yeah.
Yeah.
Large paws with talons on the end.
Like a bird.
The length of a leopard, but the size of a calf. It was bigger than any other wolf anyone had seen.
So it was like long, like a wiener dog.
It was said it was much bigger than a wiener dog.
Okay. But I'm thinking like length of a leopard, but like size of a calf. So I'm like, okay, so it's like really tall, but really long.
Yeah. So it's a big bitch. So the way it killed is it stalked its prey and then it attacked. It attacked large prey by jumping on their backs, and then it often killed by tearing at the throat, so it could stop the airflow, and then just gone. Many victims were found partially eaten and decapitated.
Ooh.
I know. It is probable that the more supernatural and fantastical qualities of the beast came as a result of the clergy telling people that the beast's presence was a punishment by God for France's defeat in the 7 Years' War.
Wow, I love that that's like, not like, y'all are immoral, y'all are drinking too much. No, y'all lost a war that you really ultimately didn't have a lot of control over as peasants.
Right. They're like, this is your punishment. You get slaughtered by a beast.
I bet it was just something like a big cat species that was brought up from Africa.
Yeah, seriously. And I'll get more into what people think it was.
Yeah.
So some people, again, thought, oh, this is a werewolf. This is a giant-ass wolf. Whenever we go and chase into the forest, we can't fucking find it. Like, it just disappears. Maybe it's turning into one of us.
Big cats do.
Yeah, seriously. And they're like, what the hell? They're like, this makes no sense. So a lot of people thought it was a werewolf. A lot of people just thought it was a general giant-ass motherfucking wolf as well.
Which it also could have been just a big-ass wolf.
It's true. It's true. But this thing was massive. Being the size of a calf, sometimes described as the size of a cow, like, that's a big bit. Some people also thought it was a dire wolf that had survived, but there hadn't been, dire wolves hadn't been around for so many years that was a more improbable.
Yeah, it was like dire wolves hadn't been around for 1,000 years.
Right.
Kind of thing.
Maybe even more, honestly. I think it was 12,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's basically the equivalent of saying we saw a dinosaur.
Right.
Like
so not very likely, but there are a bunch of different people who are like, oh, what could it be? So the first non-fatal attack by the beast was recorded 2 months prior, when a young woman was attacked by the beast while watching her cattle, but she was saved when her cattle protected her and scared off the creature.
What good cows.
I know, right?
And sweet babies.
So the creature was described as, quote, a wolf, but not a wolf.
That is so descriptive. Wow. Oh, great job. Oh my God.
I know.
Poetry.
So as I mentioned at the time, it was very common for women and children to carry out the task of watching the livestock, so they tended to be the common victims of the beast. But lone men were also sometimes victims as well. It was just most often children and women.
And probably because it was going for the cows and then assumed that was a predator and attacked.
Exactly. So it was mostly going for cattle. Then it saw them. It was like, okay, this is also easy target. Potentially even easier because women and children are smaller than cows.
Yeah.
So they would kill some cattle and stuff, but what was unusual is the number of humans that this beast would slaughter compared to just
and it literally could have just had rabies. Like, animals with rabies will attack, things that it never would have attacked normally. Like, coyotes are really not threatening to humans. Like, they're afraid of people. Right. But if the coyote has rabies, it's more likely to attack a person and be out in broad daylight. They usually hunt at like dusk and dawn.
Right.
We have a coyote problem in my neighborhood. And my dad has actually beat the shit out of one with a stick before.
Oh my God. That's impressive.
No, we've been walking before and like seen them. Like, we'll see a coyote in the distance, and then you'll look behind you and there's two more. And then you look to the sides and they're on the sides of you too. And they're like sizing you up to attack you.
I don't like that. Nope.
And they typically just size people up. They don't typically attack them.
Yeah.
But like, I'm usually walking Ivar, and he's 60 pounds, so he's not a small dog. But if I were walking Eddie, who's 10 pounds, they might be like, that's a meal.
Right. Oh no, Eddie.
And I'm always scared they have rabies too, and I'm like, how am I gonna have to fight you today?
Right.
Which is why I carry mace, and I'm gonna mace them.
True, it's fair. But yeah, that's a good point. It could have definitely been whatever it was, had rabies. But yeah, this is why they were like, okay, we have a problem, because there were a lot more people dying, a lot more just general attacks on people, cattle, etc., than the normal amount that would happen with the wolves in the area. So typically, events of this sort would not concern anyone outside of the general area, but because political news was typically censored by the king, newspapers turned to other sources of news. So they were like, okay, this is a good tale. There have been a couple more attacks. Like, it's been a bit more frequent than usual. So they started spreading the news of that all over France. So attacks persisted over a few months, and the news reports brought about more concern and caught the attention of many, including the leader of a local infantry, Jean-Baptiste Dumel. So,
What a
due to,
name.
I know. What a name, what a man.
What a man. I just like the name
So,
John Baptiste because it sounds
I know,
pretty.
right? It does. So due to the difficult losses during the 7 Years' War, many men felt as though they had to redeem themselves and their honor. And they were like, okay, hunting and killing this beast is the best way to redeem my honor.
That's so sad. That's such toxic masculinity. I mean, not really toxic masculinity because it was like killing people. But the fact that you're doing it not because you're concerned about your, families getting killed by this thing, but because
Right.
you have to redeem your honor is a little bit sad.
Right? I know. So
Oops, sorry,
he
dropped
was
the
like,
pen.
it's all good. He was like, so this is what I gotta do, I guess. Because France lost and so did I. So, bounties were offered for the beast's head, and Dumel rallied his men as well as any volunteers he could get, including peasants, farmers, other hunters, etc. There were said to be thousands hunting the beast at any given time. They would go into the forest and attempt to flush out the beast. They would also leave poisoned bait traps, and some men would even dress as women to attempt to bait the beast.
Because it's going after only people wearing dresses. That's how you know. That's how you know it's the beast. It's only going to attack somebody in a dress.
Oh my god, sounds like a man.
That sounds like man logic to me. No offense to men, but that's some man logic.
Oh my gosh. So, needless to say, they were unsuccessful. But they did manage to kill a bunch of regular wolves, which at the time is not as sad as it could sound, because as I said, they did have a wolf infestation.
Yeah.
But if they didn't, it would be a bit sad because they're killing a bunch of wolves.
And they could fuck up the ecosystem. But if you have an infestation and you're killing, the overpopulation, then you actually rebalance the ecosystem. So that's fine.
Exactly. Now they're extinct though, so clearly something went wrong somewhere
maybe
else.
They shouldn't have.
Exactly. At one point the bounty equaled the salary of a working man, like a year's worth of salary.
Damn, that's some incentive.
I know, right? So Dumel and his men once flushed the beast out into the open, and they shot it multiple times. It appeared to fall down dead, but it soon rose to its feet and ran off once
Zombie.
again, as if it came back to life. Yeah, so this confirmed some of the beliefs that this was a werewolf, this was a supernatural being. Like, that bitch came back to life. We killed it and it's back. We watched it come back to life. So some other reasons people thought it might have been a werewolf is it was described as having glowing eyes and being able to walk on its hind legs, and it was also noted to be able to jump about 30 feet.
Well, okay, glowing eyes is probably bullshit unless the light is reflecting off the backs of their eyes.
Right, or it's nighttime.
Yeah, but jumping that high, a big cat species could do that.
Right.
As well as standing on the hind legs, but there's really not an incentive to do that unless there's something in a tree that they're looking at.
Exactly. But this was nothing they'd seen, because big cats weren't a thing.
I know. I'm thinking about because there was a lot of French colonies in North Africa.
Yeah.
So I'm maybe somebody was in the exotic animal trade and it just got loose and was just in the woods, and everyone's it's this crazy werewolf, because they don't know what a leopard looks like.
Exactly. I do talk about that specifically, actually. So some of the more notable encounters with the beast are those including children and young women. This is my favorite. This is a badass bitch. So one of the most famous individuals to face the beast was a young woman. She was about 20-ish years old, and her name was Marie-Jeanne Vallée. And on August 11th, 1765, Marie-Jeanne was out in the countryside and was crossing a river with her sister when the beast made an appearance. Marie-Jeanne had a spear-like tool that was described as being a bayonet on the end of a pole, and she was not only able to protect herself, but managed to impale the beast in the chest and chase it off.
Sick.
So, yeah. So these heroic and fearless actions of hers earned her the title of the Maid of Gévaudan. And so today there is still a statue there in her honor.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and so it's a statue of her with spearing the beast that's jumping at her. Um, so it's really cool. I like
I'm gonna
her.
look that up.
Another instance of the beast encountering children was earlier that same year on January 12th, 1765. And there was a 10-year-old boy by the name of Jacques Portefeuille and his friends of similar ages. I think they range from like 8 to 12. Were all playing in a field, and the beast came out and started yeeting at them. And so the boys grabbed sticks and they stood in a circle, and they performed a counterattack, and they were able to scare off the beast. So this is what ultimately caught the attention of King Louis XV. So King Louis rewarded the boys and even paid for Jacques to be privately educated by the crown.
Wait, so did they kill it?
No, but they scared it off.
Okay. Because I'm
Honestly,
like, I'm like, then why is the Maid of Gévaudan not getting any of these rewards?
That's the shit I'm saying. But you know what? I'd rather have a statue, honestly.
You know what? I'm looking at the statue. It's really fucking badass.
It is, right?
I love that.
So the little children got some rewards, and then the one kid, Jacques, got an education, which was quite unusual, seeing as he was a peasant.
Arguably more valuable than money rewards.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So at this point, the king decided to send 2 professional wolf hunters, a father and son duo, with their names being Jean-Charles Marc Antoine and... Fuck me, never mind. That was only part of his name. Jean-Charles Marc Antoine Vomele Deneval and his son, Jean-Francois. As attacks were continuing and Dumel was not killing the beast. So they were like, I gotta send some professionals at this point. So due to the frequency and number of attacks, many people believe that there might be 2 beasts. And due to the large wolf population in France at the time, it was believed that the beast was, again, some sort of wolf or wolf-like creature. So the father-son squad and Dumel did not get along. Because Dumel believed in fleshing out the beast and attacking it, while the duo believed in stealth and how that would be the only way they would be able to kill the beast. So the father and son brought bloodhounds that were specifically trained to hunt wolves, and they did manage to kill a ton of wolves, but none of them were the beast. This led to King Louis being like, okay, you're clearly sucking. So
you're clearly sucking.
He replaced the 2 men with his own gun bearer and bodyguard, Francois Antoine. So on September 20th, 1765, Francois, and it says that it was Francois and his son or his nephew, so Francois and his younger relative, and some men shot a very large wolf that was suspected of being the beast. Some survivors confirmed that this was in fact the beast based on scars that the beast had on its body. And they're like, yeah, these are the same scars that the beast had. Yeah. So Antoine had it sent back to court in Versailles where it was stuffed. And King Louis was like, good job, folks. So Antoine decided to remain in Gévaudan in order to hunt the beast's mate and young. He said, I saw it had a female mate, and it had 2 young. So he managed to kill the female, and they refer to it as both a pup and a cub. So he managed to kill one of those as well before he returned to court. He couldn't find the other. That one didn't really do much. It was kind of skittish anyway, so he's like, it's fine.
Wait, okay, so I know you said that they stuffed it. Did that survive to this day?
I don't believe so.
Because I just Googled it and I couldn't find it, but I'm like, maybe it's out there and it's just not one of those, like, it's a lesser known story.
Yeah. I can send you the picture of the drawing that was done of the specific time when the wolf
when they killed it. Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I don't believe that survived.
Damn.
Would have been wild though.
Because some of the stuffed heads, like, we would go visit castles in Germany when we'd go home to visit family, and they had stag heads that were like surviving from the 17th century. Wow. And I'm like, that's fucking awesome. Like,
yeah, it was pretty cool.
They were in rough condition, but they were like well preserved, which I think is really cool.
Right. That is really cool. Damn. That would be snazzy. Yeah, as far as I know, that's not still around. Feel like I would have found that or heard of it because I heard about the Beast many, many years ago before. So like,
Yeah.
I feel like at this point I would probably have heard of it if it was surviving.
Yeah.
So Antoine finally returned to court once he finished killing the mate and one of the young, and so he received a lot of money, fame, and titles for killing the beast. And the villagers were super relieved. They're like, "Oh my god, yes!" And the attacks ceased. That relief was short-lived, though, because the attacks resumed in December of that year. So just a few months later, because he supposedly killed the beast in September, and then attacks resumed in December.
But then they thought it had a mate, so they would have been like, oh, maybe it's the female or
They already
something.
killed the mate, though.
Oh, they did? Okay. That's what
Yeah.
I thought, but I wasn't sure. I don't know. Part of my brain was like, they left one.
They left a baby that he couldn't find.
Okay. So the baby could have grown up.
It's possible, but also in 3 months, to be able to take on the size prey that it was taking on.
Yeah. It wouldn't have been possible.
Right. So the people of Gévaudan reached out to King Louis, but he turned a blind eye. He was like, "Nah, I'm not going to help because Antoine killed the beast. So this is not my problem. The beast isn't there."
This is not my problem.
Exactly. So when no help came, and there was a large number of attacks in June of 1767, a local nobleman named Marquis de Pache, couldn't tell you, Marquis something, organized a hunt that included a local farmer named Jean Chastel. Jean Chastel was part of previous hunts, but Antoine had him put in prison for leading his men into a bog during the hunt. Yep.
Screw you for not knowing directions. You're going to jail now.
He's like, "You're sabotaging this. You could get people killed. You're going in jail. You're
dead. You're done. You're locking you away."
And so ultimately, Chastel was released to help hunt the beast again, and he ended up shooting and killing a large beast on Mount Moshe, Mount Moshe is what we're going to call it. Various sources claim that Chastel shot the beast with a single bullet, either coated with or made completely of silver.
Ooh. And this is where that comes from.
Yes. The beast was cut open to reveal human remains inside, and this just further confirmed for them that, okay, this is in fact the beast. And so they sent it to the king, who reportedly had it buried immediately because it smelled fucking terrible.
Get rid of it. It smells awful.
The beast was noted as having qualities that were not wolf-like. So here's some statistics. During the beast's reign between 1764 and 1767, approximately 9,000 wolf attacks occurred.
Oh my god.
I know.
That's a lot.
And it really is. So you can see why this was a problem.
Can see why people just thought it was like a normal occurrence.
Right. During the time, around 100 wolves were killed while hunting the beast. The types of victims of the wolf attacks from the 18th century through the 20th century were recorded and compared by some scientists and historians. And so it was found out that most of the victims included children and young women, with occasionally some men, as I mentioned. But the, quote, wolf attacks between 1764 and 1767 showed that victims were larger, older, and more capable of defending themselves. And as we know, the larger the predator, the larger the prey.
Yeah.
Implying that the supposed wolf doing and carrying out these attacks was much larger than the average wolf, and perhaps not a wolf at all.
I've been like Googling as you've been talking because I'm very curious and impatient. And I'm seeing some evidence that it could be like a striped hyena.
That is a guess, yeah. I remember one of the documentaries I have watched in the past, they believe it was a hyena.
Yeah, because it would have matched the description of having a black stripe on the back and like still looking dog-like.
But here I'm going to reveal some theories. Okay, so no more reading. But first, the Beast is reporting as having attacked over 200 individuals in the 50-mile radius surrounding Givaudan, and it killed 113 of those,
Oh my God.
98 of which were partially eaten.
Yeah.
And about a little over a dozen were decapitated, I believe. So, theories. Based on the descriptions of both appearance and the supposed ability to deflect bullets, the most common theory about the Beast was that it was a large wolf, a hyena, a lion, or an armored war dog, such as a mastiff.
I love that they called it armored. It's literally just blubber.
Well, no. They mean like they would like dogs. The war dogs at the time would legit have armor.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So like a legit armored world.
Okay, that makes sense.
One.
Yeah, especially if the armor is like painted.
Right. So, as mentioned, some of the common features of the Beast was its short reddish gray fur, its slender tail with a tassel, the longer fur near the head, the black stripe down the back, the spots on its side, and its ability to jump super far. So, because of this, people believe that it was a subadult male lion. Captain Dumel once said, "You will undoubtedly think, like I do, that this is a monster hybrid, the father of which is a lion. The mother remains to be seen." So at the time, very few people would actually know what a lion looked like, specifically a juvenile.
That's fair.
And most of the depictions of lions that people would see at the time were fully grown males with their large dark manes, no spots, and no back markings, which subadult males were known to have a lot less fur around where their mane would grow in. They would have spots on their sides, a lot of them, not all of them, but many would have some spots at their sides and like their legs. And some have been also known to have dark stripes down their spines. And as I mentioned earlier, the Beast would stalk its prey, which lions are known to do. And they're much larger than wolves and capable of bringing down larger prey with one of them, opposed to wolves often hunt in packs if they're doing a larger prey animal. And lions are known to utilize the technique of jumping onto the prey's back and going for the throat, much like the Beast did.
Yeah.
Lions can also jump nearly 40 feet. And people may be wondering, how the fuck did a lion get to France? So menageries were very common at the time and consisted of many exotic animals, including lions, and it was not uncommon for animals to escape. So
that's what I figured would have happened.
Right. So it's very possible, and I personally think it's a subadult lion, based on the research I've done. It's very possible that it escaped. People didn't know what it looked like, so they're like, the fuck is this? They knew they had a wolf issue, so they're like, it must be kind of wolf-like because it's got kind of the look of a wolf, but not exactly.
Which I guess if you've never seen a lion and you don't have anything like a mountain lion out there,
exactly,
then the biggest predator you do see is a wolf. Then I can understand why you would think that.
Exactly. And also them not seeing it, they were like, maybe this got to be some sort of monster because we've never seen anything like this.
And lions will attack people.
Yes, they will. They have no issue doing so.
Yeah.
So another thing to note is that Jean Chastel being able to kill the Beast with a single shot when many people have shot the Beast multiple times before to no avail. That's very odd. So although the silver aspect of the bullet, as I mentioned, and we said most likely perpetuates the idea that silver is bad for werewolves or kills werewolves sort of thing. The silver aspect might be exaggerated. If true, it's important to note that this would make it even more difficult for Chastel to kill the animal with because silver is not accurate at all.
And it's not as heavy as lead.
Right. And so in order to shoot effectively and not only hit the Beast, but hit it in a vital spot where it would kill it, Chastel would have had to be close to it and not been attacked, which is like,
really, especially if it's a lion, it can move very fast.
Exactly. So it is suggested that no matter what the Beast was, it was perhaps a tamed pet of Chastel's, which allowed him to get close enough to take a lethal shot and kill the Beast because it trusts him, And the people may wonder, like, oh, why would he do this though? And it was said that he perhaps did that so that his crimes would be forgotten and instead they would be replaced with praise from the villagers.
Yeah.
Um,
That seems like something I
yeah.
would do, honestly.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to jail for this, so I'm going to just say that I caught the beast and killed it.
Right. So it is also suggested that Chastel trained the beast to attack people.
Wow, that's disgusting.
I know. And due to the decapitation in some victims, some people think that it might be the work of a serial killer or a human using an animal to kill.
And
but
then
it is also
going
important...
back with a weapon and doing further damage.
True. And it is also important to note, though, that lions did tend to go for the throat, and a lion's jaws can easily take off a child or woman's head.
Yeah.
And we did see decapitation in only about a little over a dozen of the cases.
So it's not like murders. It was like the classic MO.
Exactly. But that was another theory. And unfortunately, in the end, there isn't any documentation or DNA that can tell us what the beast was. And so chances are we will never know for sure. But as I mentioned, there are many different theories. And I also noted some depictions of the beast in pop culture because
Beauty and the Beast
Givaudan is very popular. It is known as kind of the start of the werewolf myth and
I love that
trend. Yeah. So it was in a movie called The Brotherhood of the Wolf. In The Wolfman, they mention Givaudan. It's been depicted in various novels, such as The Hunting Ground. And in that one, Jean Chastel is actually the beast himself. And it's also a big part. This is one I've actually seen. It's a big part of Teen Wolf season 5.
Yeah, I ran across that when I was Googling, and I'm like, wow, Teen Wolf is coming at you with the old school references.
Right? I freaking love Teen Wolf. What can I say? When I was younger, I had a cardboard cutout of Scott from Teen Wolf because my friend bought it for me. It was life-size.
Oh my god, you were one of those.
My friend bought it for me.
That's
okay.
True. No, I remember like going over to friends' houses and they'd have like a life-size cutout of like Hannah Montana, and I'm like, that's so cool. Oh my god, where did you get that? And like my mother would never let me have anything like that.
Honestly, there's no use for
there really is no practical use for it, and honestly, it's a little bit weird having Hannah Montana stare at you while you're sleeping.
That's true. I had my Scott McCall cardboard cutout hold my scarves.
There you go.
And I used it in a school project one time, and he was my friend Ellen's husband in the school project.
I love that. That's great.
And I used one of those Build-A-Bear recorders to be like, and this is my wife, Ellen.
And this is my wife, Ellen. Beautiful.
So I found it like a year ago when I was cleaning stuff out of my house, and I clicked it, and it still was saying that.
Gorgeous. I love that.
But yeah, the Beast, it was in Teen Wolf season 5 for half of the season, and that was the major part of the plot. It revolved around the Beast. So that was super interesting. I like that one a lot. But yeah, it's been depicted in a variety of things, and it's honestly a wild-ass tale. And like I said, it's where kind of werewolves originated, but it's also completely true. Some of the speculations are out there, but this is a completely documented event. It happened. It's not disputed.
That's fucking great. I love that.
Yes.
I mean, not great because people died, but like also, like it's kind of great because it's like a lot of these stories are disputed, and it's like vampires probably aren't real, but like I don't know. It's like Elizabeth Bathory. Like she absolutely wasn't a vampire, but it was like a real thing that happened that inspired vampires to be a story, which is kind of cool.
Yes, I think it's super cool like that. So I very much enjoy it. I just kind of randomly was like, you know what? I don't know what spurred me to be like, I'm going to do this one this week. I think I was like, you know what? I think I want to do a legend instead of a person this time around.
No, I think that's cool. I love legends. Like, and lore and
I think
stuff.
I had Mary Jeanne on my list, and I was like, okay, I'm like, I can't talk a lot about her because there's not much to say, so I'm like, I'll just tell the whole story of the Beast.
Yeah, might as well.
So I thought that one was super interesting. Love that. Hope you guys enjoyed that. But yeah, if you want to continue to support us, both if you want to financially, there is our Patreon. Shout out to our patron of the week, Mama J. So really, all you gotta do is be a patron once, and as we said before, 100% chance of being the patron of the week. And then after that, 50-50. All there.
All yours.
So if you'd like to be a patron, we have a patron-only Discord. We have a patron-only Facebook. We're thinking of some more different tiers and rewards for patrons. But you can find our Patreon via the link in our Instagram, which is You Don't Look It Podcast. And you can find our other social media via that link as well, because we have Facebook and screw Twitter, and because I don't know how to use it. And you can also find us. Well, if you're listening now, you probably know how to find us. But if you want to tell your friends, feel free. Tell them they can listen on wherever they listen to podcasts, pretty much. If you want to email us any suggestions or just, hit us up, tell us some stories of your own or anything, give us feedback, you can email us at youdon'tlookitpodcast@gmail.com. You can also message us on our Instagram, as I said, is You Don't Look It Podcast, and we will be sure to respond. We should respond pretty quickly. One of us, most likely me, because I literally do nothing with my life half the time, and I'm just sitting there.
Wow. Okay. We always say we do nothing with our lives, but like you are running a shop. You are in grad school. You are a busy bitch. And
okay, true.
Like I'm trying to start a dog training business, and I'm doing school as well. So technically,
true. We literally are always like, we do nothing, but we're
oh yeah, no, same. I'm like, I'm a failure. I have done nothing with my life, and I'm like over here doing like a million things, like doing commissions for art, trying to set up a business, like doing this podcast, doing school, right. And I'm like, I'm a failure, and I'm like, bitch, you literally have no time to do anything else.
Right, exactly. So if you guys want to, like make us feel good and listen or anything, feel free to just, hit us up. We love interacting. We've had 1 or 2 people message us before, and that was fab. So if you want to hit us up,
it gave us that sweet, sweet serotonin.
A woman. But yeah, I think that's it. And we will see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Ha 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 ha.